I want you guys check these three veterans out, and I want to hear what your pick is for fantasy in 2020. Pick one of these veterans. It may sound obvious, it may not. DeAndre Hopkins, Allen Robinson, and Julian Edelman. So we got D-Hop on a new team, A-Rob possibly with a new QB, as well as Julian Edelman. Paul, who you got, man?
Well, I'll start off by because you mentioned earlier that you think Edelman's going to hit 100 receptions, and I think you're way off, man. I think he's not going to come close. Like with Cam, you're talking about Brady, who's probably one of those accurate intermediate passers of all time, and that's where Edelman makes his money. And then you're talking about Cam, who's historically one of the least accurate passers. He's always low in completion percentage. So I think he's going to struggle to get the amount of – I think he'll get volume, but as far as like the percentage of – like we were talking about earlier about how Lockett is 72% with Wilson, I think that percentage is going to drop severely with Cam. So I don't even think he's in the conversation for me. But, man, between D-Hop and Robinson, that's a tough one because, I think Hopkins is a little bit better of a talent, but he also has more talent around him. With Fitz and Kirk and, and everything they got going on there. And Allen Robinson's kind of by himself, they don't really have anyone else to throw to. So that's a tough one for me. I want to say Allen Robinson. I think we've been all high on them all night, but I really feel like with just that situation, and if Nick Foles takes over, and he's the number one guy, like no doubt. Where I think the Cardinals, I think Hopkins is clearly the number one guy as well, but he has a little bit more, talent around him. So just because of that, I think A-Rob has potential for a little bit more.
What's the word, Drew?
Yeah, this one had me shook. I kind of grinned at the fact that you mentioned Edelman before because I was so back and forth with him. I'm a little bit more on Paul's side, but I'll get to that last. First off, I already kind of made my case about Allen Robinson. I think he's amazing, and the help with Nick Foles and a great defense and Matt Nagy calling the plays and getting him open with his schemes. I think he's going to have one of his best years. As for D-Hop, though, this one I was also kind of back and forth with. Now, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is amazing. Nobody denies that. He had Deshaun in 18 and 19, and so he hit those 100 catches 3 times already. In 2015, he had a whole year for most of the year, 4 with Ryan Mallett, 2 with Yates, and 1 with Whedon, and he still hit it. So he's the epitome of doesn't matter who's behind center, I'm getting those stats.
Absolutely.
So over the past 2 years, he's averaged 157 targets. The only one that has more targets than that is Julio, 164, and Michael Thomas, 166. It's not the talent that I'm second guessing. The only thing that worried me is Fitz had 800 yards, and Christian Kirk had 700 yards. They had the same amount of targets. That, in the simplest form, just tells me that Kyler Murray, he doesn't play favorites. He's just playing with the offense and within the design. So I don't really see an excess of targets. I mean, close to what he's used to seeing, 150 plus for Arizona. So I don't think he's going to be the same kind of first round must-have fantasy receiver like he's been. And, the things that scared me is Kyler was actually number 9 in pass attempts. But I think it'll be evenly spread with those target shares. So the only thing with that is they were also bottom 10 in plays from scrimmage. So I know they'd be getting better, but that's not really a guarantee. Second-year coach, second-year quarterback, is there going to be a slump? It's just too risky for me. And at the same time, we talked about this last time, there was something about Hopkins. I mean, my eyes were glued to him last year. I had him in fantasy. I had my eye on him because he was on my team, and I also had my eye on him so I wouldn't feel guilty because I traded him away.
Yeah.
But there was really something about it. I mean, I honestly – you guys, I see you guys online 1, 2, 3 in the morning too. So I know you think hard about your decisions on or off the waiver wire, on and off the trade block. But
Yes,
there was just something about his movements on the field that worried me. Last year, he had the lowest yards per reception that he's had in the past 5 years and the lowest target share that he's had. He just wasn't getting open, and especially down the field. I don't knock his talent, but something was different. But on the Julian Edelman thing, for sure. I think Julian Edelman is one of the most underrated receivers ever. He doesn't have the game break speed that's so popular these days, but he does make up for it with his agility between the hashes. Every teammate has talked about, every coach has talked about him being unmatched in the film room next to Tom Brady. No one's going to top Tom Brady. Everyone knows that he is cancerous when it comes to the film room. He doesn't leave. Even his wife in that Amazon documentary had complaints about him. They had family issues with him not being home because of his film study. So, I mean, he's an elite route runner. He catches every ball in traffic. He has all the highlight catches. He's tough, and he definitely has the stat lines. One of the best things I do like about Edelman is he's a lot more clutch than people think. He's a lot more favored than people think. Everyone knows Gronk is probably one of the best tight ends to ever play. But out of the 5 years that he did play with Gronk, he had more targets. There was actually an article that I found that was pretty popular for obviously Massachusetts, but it was done by the writer-editor of Athlon Sports and also Pat's Propaganda. But after 2018, Gronk's last year showed that Edelman had more third down catches, a better third down completed catch rate, and on a per year basis and per game, because we know Gronk missed a few games, the second half of games and in the playoff, Edelman actually beats Gronk's in all categories: receptions, completion percentage, and first down catches. So the only one that Gronk had Edelman beat was touchdowns, and it was only by one. So I get the fame for Edelman. I think he's honestly one of the best slot receivers behind Wes Welker that we've ever seen. I just more fall on the side with Paul that, Cam is going to be the starter on that team. They're going to throw Stidham as a scapegoat for the first 4 games because they're going to be at Seattle and at Kansas City. Then they're going to make the right move in going with the veteran and Cam Newton. But Cab's an outside the numbers guy. He's a risk taker, I don't really see him matching with Edelman all that much. Edelman, a lot of the times, slot receivers, that's preparation, that's pre-snap, and that's chemistry. I don't think they're going to have that. Paul touched on the low completion rate. I just don't see that taking Edelman to above 100 catches this year. I think he'll still be a viable fantasy receiver, maybe low 2, high 3. I just don't think he's going to be that 100 plus, or even I think he'll struggle hitting 4 to 5 touchdowns and struggle hitting 1,000.
For sure. I appreciate all the homework y'all do. That's awesome. You're wrong about Julian Edelman. 2018, Cam Newton's best year as a passer, Norv Turner, 69.7 completion percentage. I was never a Cam Newton guy. I was when he played for Norv Turner. It was short-lived. Yes. It was short-lived. But in that 2018 year where he was pretty much at 68%, 82 passes to the slot. That's between Jarius Wright and Curtis Samuel. They split time that year. 82. Outside the numbers, 99 completions to DJ Moore and Devin Funchess. Then 107 completions to CMC. So if you're telling me that 107 plus that 82 to the slot, more Julian Edelman short to intermediate routes compared to 99 outside, with a better passer that specific year, and Julian Edelman was one of the 100 reception receivers in the league last year, this one's easy for me. This one's easy, and I was never really a Julian Edelman guy. Never really a Cam Newton guy. This one just hit me in the face. It was so obvious. I'm like, wait a minute. I love D-Hop. Wait a minute. I've always been one of those that loved A-Rob. Hold on. And that's why I threw Jules in this. At first I didn't, but I was like, no, let's not do Julio. Let's not do Michael Thomas, because they're a different level. They're a different level than A-Rob. And I'm with you, Drew, on Hopkins. I saw something different. We did speak about that before in the last episode, but guys, like I said, y'all know, and I just said it, I wasn't a big Cam guy. I wasn't a big Jules guy. I think this one's a match made in heaven because I expect Cam Newton to start week 1. Cam Newton, his ego, his swag. You saw him in his interview. It was recently. I just saw it. And that dude did not sign. I don't care how much money. I don't care if it was only for $1 million, only a year. I don't care if it was $100 million extension. He did not go there to not play week 1 through 16 or until injury. Or else, from the Patriots, Bill Belichick's point of view, he's low cost, low risk, easy cut. If he doesn't get it, if he doesn't get along with him in that locker room behind closed doors as a teammate, that's an easy cut for them. So that's why I see him playing week 1 because of who he is. You don't bring a guy in like that with Jared Stidham there and be like, oh, no, we're going to hold you off. That combined with that 2018 season that I was highlighting, he's with good coaching. He's probably with his best offensive coaches he's ever had in his career. Man, I'm sorry. Jules may not get A-Rob's and D-Hop's touchdowns, but I think he gets more catches, and those more catches are going to have him up there in their vicinity in yards. Man, and Drew, you even said you think Julian Edelman is one of the most underrated players in the history of the game.
Yes.
That's saying something because I didn't even think that way. I still don't, but that's also saying something about Julian Edelman. All right, so that's why I put him in here. I knew you guys are going to kind of raise your eyebrows at that. I knew you would, but I did too. I'm like, wait, why would I throw him in this conversation? And then I'm like, wait, find a reason to take him out. I couldn't find a reason to take him out. So that's what it was.
I hear you. It's not just him. There is a counterpart in Cam. You know, there's years where Edelman didn't have 100 catches, and that was with Brady. So the perfect chemistry that they had, I just don't see that hitting par with Cam. Not that fast, and not so soon him being on the Patriots team. But I could be wrong. We'll see.
No one else can get open, and no one else is good. So
you don't think the defenses know that?
All right. Some other
for Nikhil, bro. He's gonna be a baller next year.
Who?
Nikhil.
Is he a receiver?
I want to Nikhil you for that.
Nikhil. Oh man.
Yeah, dude.